Hi, I'm Jill, and I look like a pineapple. I don't know how to do this YouTube thing. With as much content as I have consumed in the last, I don't know, 10 years or whatever that it's been around, you would think I'd have, here's how you do an intro, and this is how you then progress into an entertaining or educational or watchable even video. I apparently haven't figured it out yet, and I'm really not good at editing yet either. So I'm trying about a pretty serious side of DNA. And I always come from this NPE perspective. And even if that's not the perspective you come into this with, I hope you can find value in this content. So, in case you didn't know, you can download your raw DNA from both Ancestry.com and 23andMe, as well as other sites. And there are third-party sites that accept this raw DNA and give you health information based on it. There's a bunch of different companies. They focus on different things or give you the information in different ways. I hope to be able to edit in some screen captures of some of the sites that I've used so you can kind of see the layout. I actually even have some printouts here from one of the companies, even though it's kind of mangled, but I've been carrying it around in my bag for a long time. So this will open up a whole new world when it comes to understanding your health and your body and the mutations that make your body act the way it does. So I personally have had a very long road of health issues. From um, early childhood, I discovered that I was much more bendy than other people. So very simple things like my hand per se. You ask most people to hold their hand flat, you're going to get something that looks like this. My normal reaction personally is something more like this. My fingers automatically go up. I have a lot of range there as far as how back my fingers can go. They can actually go much further than that, but I am hurting really badly this week, and my wrist actually keeps subluxing almost every time I hold my hand like that. So I'm just going to stop now. Sublux is kind of like almost comes out of joint, I guess is the way you could say that. I can feel it kind of slipping in the joint. Almost all of my joints hyperextend or dislocate. Not all of them hurt all of the time. Some of them hurt a lot when they dislocate. Some of them don't hurt at all unless it's done in a violent way. So for example, my shoulder, if you're squeamish, don't look. I can pretty much just relax and my shoulder comes out of joint, which is crazy. And as a young person, these were kind of my party tricks, if you will. The joke is really on me uh, because this is a mess. Like my elbows hyperextend. Um, the tops of my knuckles, I don't know if you can see with this lighting, like my things just get stuck. Like the, things are weird in my hands. My wrists are another one that dislocate a lot. Ankles, pretty much my knees are the only joint on my body that I don't typically have much of a problem with. I even dislocate ribs and uh, it's not fun. It's really not fun. I walk around with a lot of inflammation, a lot of burning and stinging in my joints, a lot of just general soreness. There's times when if I have violently dislocated something, it will then not stay in joint for a while. I have to really baby things. I have, I own like a whole basket full of different braces and slings and different things that I have to use sometimes. I even wear special rings on my fingers or wrist braces, or will put my arm in a sling for a while if the shoulder really I have trouble. I think I've actually at this point hurt my rotator cuff or something, but I have to really baby this one sometimes. So this has been happening since I was a child, and I was just told that I had a connective tissue disorder and not to worry about it, that as I got older and gained weight and all of these different things that um, life would get better. I also started having menstruation issues from the start. Uh, I learned that I had endometriosis. I dealt with ovarian cysts and tumors. I dealt with infant infertility issues. I had issues getting pregnant and staying pregnant. My body wanted me to have babies too soon. Thankfully, they were both very healthy. They were each born at 5 weeks early, so definitely still kind of scary, but at least we were close to the home stretch, and even though tiny, they were healthy. My water broke prematurely with both of them as well. Um, I just in general, my reproductive system was screwed from the start, and I ended up having a radical hysterectomy when I was 28. I have gone through periods of having heart problems and didn't understand why, especially when I was pregnant. I now know that it has to do with my connective tissues as well. My resting heart rate is extremely low, typically in the mid to even low 50s or lower sometimes. And then when I stand up, my heart rate goes to 150 sometimes. And my blood pressure is always very low. We're talking like 90 over 60-ish, give or take. Um, so when I go from standing to bending down to pick something off the floor and then standing back up, my body can't get my blood to move around in a way that keeps oxygen to my head. So I almost pass out a lot. Or I get really winded really quickly if I've had to do a lot of up and down because my heart rate, it's like um, just maxing out doing like hit workouts where you're trying really hard to get your heart rate up really quickly and then you calm down and then you blast yourself again. Like I can do that by just bending over and standing up. Yeah, I go from like 50 something to 150 and I'll calm down and then I'll go skyrocket again when I move again. It's pretty exhausting. Uh, just a lot of these little things, intolerances to things, a really sensitive stomach, digestion issues, skin issues, you name it, I've kind of been through the ringer. And so when I found out that I was an NPE, I was very curious, as most are, to the medical history of my biological parent. So even though I didn't grow up with who I thought was my biological parent in my life, I at least had a general idea of the medical history of his family because they lived in our area and I knew who they were to an extent. Like I could ask somebody, hey, what did his dad die of? Or hey, what, did his mom have any health problems that you knew of? Kind of on the sly or on the DL to people that I knew them better than I did and knew the situation and would give me information. I also uh, paid attention to his children. I even stalked them on Facebook once in a while because I thought they were my half siblings. I would just like check in and hope that life was treating them well and never picked up on any kind of like health concerns or whatever. But I thought I had a general idea of the health of their family. So when I found out that I was an NPE and I had inaccurate birth parent information, that with myself as well as many others that I've come across in groups on Facebook, that's one of their big goals is to have health information. Well, you don't necessarily need your father or know who he is or get word of mouth from him to have some kind of an idea of what's probably happening in the health of his or her, if you're looking for a mother, family, by doing one of these third party health things. So it's not going to tell you everything. It's not going to tell you that your grandmother had diabetes, but it could tell you that due to whatever mutation you have, that you're 27% more likely than the average person to get diabetes. So maybe you should be conscious of how that could develop, how you should take care of yourself, what's important, preemptive kind of um, care that you could give yourself or risk or warning signs if that shows up in your life so you can be prepared and know, oh no, this is a warning sign For diabetes, I need to see my doctor, or I need to start journaling my symptoms, or something in a way that helps me be proactive in taking care of myself. So when I did my DNA testing, mind you, I had done kind of a counseling at a geneticist prior to all of this, and when I found out how much money it was for someone who pays their own insurance, and at this point I don't even have insurance, I've just dropped it and I self-pay without it. Just the cost and so forth was out of reach for me at that point. So when I found out I could do this on my own, at least to some extent, I really invested some time in researching the companies I was willing to give my DNA to, and then researching the information I got from them. And now I still don't know everything. It's a lot. It is time consuming. The technology isn't there to like necessarily piece it all together for you in a nice little package that says, based on your DNA, don't eat this, don't take this medication, and watch out for warning signs of this, and you're good. Like you have to do more work than that. But it's really cool. And one of the examples I have, just to give you an insight, mind you, these papers are gross, but this specific company, and I'll link the ones I've used and so forth down below. I'm not going to tell you what ones to use. That's personal preference. Read their site, read the 40-page whatever they make you read to for their terms and service if you're worried about giving someone your DNA, what have you. That's all I knew. I can't tell you how to deal with that in your own life. But this one gives you, these are the overview sheets from this test. And it tells you all the things they check for, all the different gene variations and mutations. It gives you a grid and lets you know that the white ones you don't have any mutation there, the yellow ones you have a single mutation, and the red ones you have a double mutation. And also if you're a male, it has another thing that shows up if the mutation's on the X chromosome, but I'm a chick, so I don't get that part of the test. So as you can see, I have lots. So that doesn't mean that they're all going to be shown through my DNA or expressed, if you will. But some of these are like little things that could make a big difference in how I lived and how I take care of myself. For example, some of these mutations affect how my body processes folic acid. I took so much folic acid when I was trying to become a mother, and because the TV told me that I needed folic acid to have a healthy baby. And my body can't use folic acid. It can't break it down. My body doesn't create an enzyme that can break down folic acid. Seems like such a simple thing, but for whatever reason, I have a double mutation there that it doesn't let my body do that. And so what was it doing with all that folic acid? And how is my methylation happening in my body? And what can I take instead? I can actually take methylfolate, and because that's the broken down version, or I can just make sure I eat things that are rich in methylfolate. And so that would have been nice to know. It's nothing, it's not huge. I'm probably not going to live or die over if I've taken too much folic acid, but I do believe that all of these things added together, especially for someone with me, like who's got a lot of little things, mixed with, I have the Alzheimer's gene, which is freaking terrifying. But at least I know, at least I can be proactive, at least I'm aware, at least my family can be aware. So, I mean, really, I'm already kind of showing signs and symptoms I always have because I just have like a really bad memory. Um, I don't know. My hope is through understanding this all better and taking control over it that I can live for my genetics, live based on them and only put things into my body that I know my body can deal with properly. And I hope and I'm excited to see the science progress and what they're going to do and how they're going to be able to individualize our healthcare. I know it's going to take longer than I'd hope. I wish it could happen like tomorrow, but I'm excited to see what the future holds and how testing our DNA can help us live for the bodies that were created for us. You know what I mean? And it's cool. And it takes some of the weight off the shoulders out there of people that are still searching for family, whether you're adoptee or donor conceived or just a somehow fall under the blanket of MPE like I do, you know, this can bring the power into your own hands, and you don't need somebody to tell you necessarily what great grandma died from or what health problems she had. So this can really give you a great glimpse into how you were made and how to best take care of yourself. And I wanted to just touch on that a little bit. I'll put as much information as I can in the down bar. I don't, as I've already touched on, I don't feel comfortable telling you all to use a specific test or this or that. If you all would like me to talk a little bit more on the ones I've used, I guess I could a little bit, but there's just DNA is complicated in so many ways, and the legalities and taking your raw DNA off of one of the sites and putting it onto your own personal computer, like just the security really freaks people out. So I say educate yourself and make sure that you trust the process or feel secure in doing so before you make any decisions there. And I just don't want to overly sway anyone. I just want people to know that the options are there. It's really cool. And I feel like I'm taking better care of myself because of it. So I think I'm done rambling now. This video turned out way longer than I anticipated it being. But that's okay because I have no idea what I'm doing here on YouTube. Comments, questions, or concerns can be left below. If you enjoyed this, you can throw me like one of those, look how weird, with my phone, like hitchhiker's thumb. I'm really hard to beat in thumb wrestling, and my husband hates it, but it's because my thumb bends back, and I definitely use it to my advantage. Anyway, throw me a thumbs up or a like if you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you want to hear more. If there's anything specific you would like me to talk about, please let me know, because why not? All right. Bye.